ensure the name is same in all the documents, PAN, Aadhaar, office seal. There also there should not be any mistake. Letterhead, bank statement, everywhere you should have same name. Please check this. If there is any error, correct it. Okay, and do not end up giving some accountant's personal mobile number, email ID. Please use your official number and email ID, because now everything is online communication. So your accountant should not tell you, I receive a notice but I forgot to tell you. That kind of gap should not be there. So it's very important that you give a proper communication number. Okay, so see, now I was telling you this month is crucial. Why is it crucial? We are not in a hurry to upload the documents. To upload the document, the window is opening from 1st April. April, May, June. We have time, 3 months time. When are we going to start uploading the document? Only when we are convinced that everything is correct. Okay, so phase 1, we will just check if some amendments are required. And we will execute those amendments by passing appropriate resolution. We will submit it to the Registrar of Society, etc. Do all the paperwork pertaining to the amendments. Okay, basically, when we were going for 12A registration for our clients, the department is obsessed with some points, income tax clauses. Yes, saying whenever a document is coming to us, a memorandum of association or a trust deed, bylaws, etc., the officer is searching for these points. Okay, these are the very crucial points. These are called income tax clauses. Okay, now there are some old NGOs, 20-year-old, 15-year-old. That time, the department was not searching for these wordings. And your documentation was done by an agent who did not know Income Tax Act. He only knew how to incorporate a society for you, he did it for you. But now if you see that old document, these clauses are missing. Okay, no doubt, court is saying the government should not put pressure to insert these kind of clauses. The society is governed by the Societies Act. But that's a different story. We are not getting into the legal route. We are getting into what is convenient. Tomorrow when I submit my document to the department, what kind of questions I may get from the department. So department is asking these points from you. Point number 1, there should be a clear, in the object clause you should write there in your memorandum that whenever there are funds will be invested according to 11 subsection 5. That is safely kept. I will not divert it, I will not invest in equity. This kind of points should not be there. 11.5 investment points should be there. Okay, and then accounts will be maintained and audited. The services of this organization will not be diverted for the benefit of the members. The core team should not end up using this organization for their personal benefit. That kind of clause should be there. In case of winding up, we will transfer all the assets to a like-minded entity. That point should be there. And the benefit of this organization should be for all, irrespective of caste, creed, religion or sex. This is a very important point. Now why it is important point? See how painful it is. They are asking us to register either as a religious organization or as a charitable organization. See now, when you go for a religious organization, obviously what will be the practical scenario in a religious organization? What will be the practical scenario? Point 1, if it is a mosque, the beneficiaries will be Muslim. Point 2, if it is a temple, the beneficiaries will be Hindus, or if it is a church, the beneficiaries will be Christians, because it's a typical religious organization. But this point is telling, call yourself religious organization, but keep your doors open for all religions. You be a mosque, but in your beneficiary list, you should have Hindus, Christians, everyone. So this is a very important point. In the past, this point was not there. People used to say, I will cater only to Jain community. I will cater to only Bohra community. This kind of language was there earlier. Now the department is saying, I don't like this language. You be a religious organization, but you cater to all religions. So old documents may have this problem. If this problem is there, we have to amend it. Remove that point. We are open for all. Okay, that should be the language. Right. Then what are we saying? Charitable activities are confined to the territory of India only. Okay, some of the philanthropic youngsters, youth especially, they are so futuristic and they have a very wide vision. They will say, I will not restrict myself to India. I will spread my activities beyond India. This is his vision. He will write in that document. You can write it. The court is allowing, but the department will say, I don't like it. That's a problem. That's the approach of the department. The department is saying, if you write activity outside India, that is beyond my jurisdiction. How will I come and check the genuineness? If you write it in India, I can come and check. So I can give you 12, you don't write such points. This is what the department is saying. So we have to check our document. The old document might be very futuristic. We have to change it and say, no, only India we will restrict. Okay, so I want to do something outside India. You create some entity outside India. Why do you want this one to do it? This should have a joint venture with that entity. Go conduct some workshops, programs. Nobody is stopping you. But you say your activities are, restricted to the territory of India. Okay, then coming to our next slide. Here we are saying, that we should be filing the form 10A, and which requires either a digital signature certificate or it can be e-verified through a e-verification code. So it's better you have a DSC. Obviously, people might be filing their ITR and etc. So they must be having DSC ready to do the online submission. That's a procedural aspect. Okay, now just another small amendment which has come in 2021. No doubt the auditor who's handling your file will be aware of this, and they will definitely take care of it when you submit your accounts for financial year 2021. Okay, but what kind of problem can come here? So just for your awareness, we have to discuss this issue. Corpus donation. Do you all know what is corpus donation? In our balance sheet, we have two types of funds, corpus and non-corpus. Okay, what do you mean by corpus? The donor will write one letter to you. Okay, there is no format specified. It's a simple letter. He will say, I am donating a small amount, a big amount to this organization, but I request you to make this money as a corpus fund. Do not end up using it for your day-to-day operations. Okay, what is this point now? See, basically when we have funds, something which gets used for day-to-day operations does not have a long-term impact. It's just like a working capital. You don't see any future impact from it. But when we say something for the vision, something for the corpus, you can actually see it in the future. So the donor will say, you are coming up with a school project next year, so keep this money for that school project. I heard you are coming up with a land purchase, building construction. This money of mine should enter into the building cost. Don't use it for your salaries. Like this, the donor will write and give in his own language with all his details, his KYC, that this money should form part of your corpus fund. Okay, when you are getting such kind of donation, what do you think will happen to it? Will it enter into your income and expenditure? Is it your income? Till today, no. It directly went to your balance sheet. It will go and sit there. Am I supposed to pay tax on corpus donation? No. The government was saying it is exempt. Okay, it is for the fund. It is a capital. For you to better understand, normally you see when somebody is introducing capital in a company or a business, capital never enters the profit and loss account. Where does it go? It goes to the balance sheet. So this corpus was supposed to go to the balance sheet, and in the income tax return, we will call it exempt donation. We are not answerable about how much we have used, to what extent is left, etc., etc. Corpus is that happy amount which is happily going and sitting there without much disclosure. Now government felt under the name corpus you are doing lot of mischief. So from 2021 onwards, we are watching your corpus now. Okay, so when you receive your corpus, keep a complete record. And they are saying it needs to be invested under 11.5, safe money. This 11.5 was not applicable for corpus donation. Now they are saying that corpus money should be invested and kept according to 11.5. Only then we will give you exemption. There are a lot of issues on this area as to how the auditor will handle it in his audit report, in the financials, in the ITR, which right now we cannot discuss. Very, very complicated topic, earmarking of the corpus and how it should be presented. But just keep in mind, if you received any corpus in financial year 2021, please go talk to your auditor. That's very important. That has to be done. Okay. Now, we can skip the next one. Okay, another good news, okay, for which has come from 2021 budget. What is this good news? Okay, the government is saying all the educational institutions and hospitals, you can go for 1023C section instead of going for 12A. You can opt at 1023C. Okay, why? What is so good about 1023C? The good news this year is, this section till last year, how it was functioning. A school is coming to us, a small school, and they are saying, Madam, we are running a school of 500 students. What is the tax effect on us? What was our question to them? First biggest question. What was your gross receipt, annual turnover from that school? The school replied, it was less than 1 crore. So what did we say? Okay, enjoy. You need not register with income tax department. You don't have to go for 12A. You don't have to go for an approval under 1023C. As an educational institution, you up to 1 crore without any registration, you can enjoy income tax exemption. That's why all the schools in our city, they are happily not filing returns and not paying taxes. The reason is, without their knowledge, they are actually enjoying the benefit of 1023C section. Okay, so understood now? Those who are running educational institution. No, I have a typewriting institute, skill training institute. Will I get this benefit? No. Educational institution means proper education. What do you mean by proper education? The one which is recognized by some board. Somebody should give you a license to run that show. That kind of education. Educational institution, medical institution, up to 1 crore. If your gross receipts are up to 1 crore, without any approvals, you enjoy exemption. This was the story. So now what people were doing? Under one society, they were running 5 institutions. Okay, institution number 1, pre-primary, institution number 2, primary, then secondary, then higher secondary, then school, high school, something like that. And all of them were enjoying and saying that for every license, society is one, legal entity is one, but the licenses given are different. Each institution, different license. Board of Intermediate is separate, school is separate, pre-primary, primary is separate. So we are holding about 7 licenses. And all the 7 licenses, if you check independently, each license, each institution, my turnover is less than 1 crore. So society was having a turnover going beyond 10 crores. But institution wise, it was less than 1 crore. So what did they all do? They never went for any registration. So this amendment came. And when they announced this amendment, see the diplomacy of the government. The government is saying, all small NGOs who are running these schools and medical institutions, good news for you. Earlier, the limit was 1 crore. Now the limit has been enhanced to 5 crore. That means your turnover up to 5 crore, you enjoy, run that school. No need of any registration, no need of any approval. But with a condition. What is that condition now? All the licenses under that society, school, pre-primary, everything put together should not cross 5 crore. That's the approach of the government. At one place they are saying, there's good news for you, but that good news is coming with a condition. So what is the condition now? The condition is saying that these educational institutions and medical institutions run by a single society, irrespective of the number of institutions, all put together, if it does not exceed 5 crore without any registration and approval, they can enjoy income tax exemption. Okay, now very important. You should immediately approach your auditor. If one of you or some NGOs here are running colleges or hospitals, you should approach your auditor and discuss, can we enjoy this tax planning here up to 5 crore? Okay, because if you see the legalities of 12A, there are very big schools who are registered as 12A. Now we have to analyze 12A versus 1023C. 1023C has this limit of 5 crores. 12A does not have this 5 crore story. So now when you decide to run a school, earlier you were free, you would either do it under 12A or you would do it under 1023C. But now because of this 5 crore point, you have to discuss which one should I opt. Should I opt to 12A? If you opt for 12A, that 5 crore story is not there. Any amount you have to go for registration. If you opt for 1023C, you can enjoy freely up to 5 crores. And there are a lot of differences in the two sections. Which condition needs to be satisfied here, which condition needs to be satisfied there. Some are very liberal, some are very harsh. So this has to be discussed over the table. Okay, so we'll not